Let me start by saying that the MDC, led by Dr. Morgan Richard Tsvangirai, is a social democratic political party that has always advocated for the democratization of Zimbabwe, that has always advocated for the establishment of a democratic, progressive government, which is benchmarked on the constitutional order of the country. We are a party that fervently and passionately believes in establishing a constitutional government. This is why you realize that ever since the MDC was formed in September 1991, we have been at the receiving end of a lot of repression from the Zanu-PF regime. Over the years, many of our supporters were killed, many were tortured, many were arrested, many were detained, houses were burned down, property was destroyed, but we have resisted the temptation to resort to any form of violence as a political party. We have had people who have actually blamed us to say, why are you guys not resorting to armed struggle? But we have said, no, we will never ever resort to armed struggle because we are a peaceful party that believes in the non-violent acquisition of political power. And obviously we have been observing the events that have been unfolding in this country for the past few hours. We see it basically as issues to do with the crumbling Zanu-PF regime. We are just watching like any other citizen, like any other patriot, and we would like to take this opportunity. I would like to personally appeal to all Zimbabweans in the country and in the diaspora to conduct themselves peacefully, and let's just hope that at the end of the day there is going to be the maintenance of and the restoration of law and order, peace and stability. We are a party, once again, that passionately believes in non-violent acquisition of power. You notice that right now the biometric voter registration exercise is ongoing. As you know, just a few days ago, the second phase of the biometric registration ended. And I understand that the third phase is supposed to kick off on November the 16th. We have always been saying that at the end of the day, for Zimbabwe to get political stability, there is need for whichever government that is going to take power at free and fair elections. In other words, the elections that can pass or that will easily pass the test of credibility. The question you've asked me is a very difficult question to say. Now with the events of the past few hours, is it going to be possible to have free and fair elections in 2018? As you know, the elections are scheduled to be held maybe any time between July and maybe September, October next year. So it's very difficult for me really to say now that with these recent, very dramatic events that have taken place, is the country going to be ready? I don't think it's not an easy question to answer, but I'll attempt to answer it by saying that what we need is probably the very quick restoration of normal governance, if I may call it that, so that the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, the constitutional body that is mandated with the duty to register voters, can be able to proceed with the voter registration exercise. You realize that the third and last phase, rather the fourth and last phase of the voter registration exercise is supposed to end around mid-January next year. So I believe that at the pace that the BVR exercise was going, just over 2 million voters have been registered so far. So if there is no disturbance in the voter registration exercise, perhaps it is possible to hold free and fair elections. But of course, you know that there is need to obviously put in place what we have always been calling for, electoral reforms, to ensure that the electoral playing field is even, to make sure that all political parties and all political players are actually able to conduct their political activities in a free and fair environment, in an environment where no party is given an undue advantage over others. The problem we had with the Zanu-PF regime was that, as you know, we had really hardly any access to public media. The ZBC, both the TV station and the radio stations. And we also would have a lot of problems each time that we wanted to hold political rallies. It was a hassle. It was always a hassle. In fact, it is always a hassle to get the authorization from the police to hold our rallies. Although the Public Order and Security Act does give us the right to hold rallies just upon giving 4 days written notice to the police. We have had so many hurdles over the years. where we have had several of our rallies have been unlawfully stopped. Most of the time we've got to go to court to obtain court orders to ensure that our rallies are then given the court go ahead. All those were hurdles that were making it extremely difficult for us as the MDC to conduct our political activities in the country. So yes, if perhaps the country can quickly go back to normalcy, electoral reforms are implemented, which is quite possible. Yeah, I think it is quite possible that free and fair elections can be held next year. You know, I don't want to assume the powers that I don't have, the powers of a prophet. How I wish I was a prophet. You can call me Prophet Gutu. But anyway, on a more serious note, they say a day in politics is a very long day. Dramatic events are happening in the country as we speak, as you interview me this morning. So I really would not be able to even know what will be happening in the next 24 hours, in the next 48 hours. So I would hazard my opinion by saying that, look, why don't we wait maybe for the next few days and see how the situation pans out? Because right now, you might actually say the country is on a lockdown. We actually don't know what exactly is happening. And I believe that that question can only be answered once we see the situation stabilizing. By stabilizing, I mean that going back to normal. At least I'm happy that there's no violence, there's no looting. We hear in other countries when situations like this happen, there'll be looting, people going to shops, supermarkets looting. But I'm happy that so far I've never had any reports of looting here in Harare or in other cities or towns. So I believe that Zimbabweans, we are very peace-loving people. I want to appeal to my compatriots to maintain this level of peace and tranquility. And let's just resolve our issues peacefully. And I believe that the Zanu-PF regime, they'll also be able to peacefully resolve whatever it is that has caused or given rise to this incident. The international community, of course, the international community always wants to have a situation where there is, peace and stability. I'm talking here of the international community with a deliberate bias towards, the issues to do with the economy. They say capital is the coward. I'm sure you've heard about that statement. Capital never flows to a country or where there is instability, especially political instability. Capital, both domestic and foreign capital, obviously is easily attracted by countries that that enjoy political stability. So far, Zimbabwe, we have been known to be a politically stable country. Of course, we've had our own issues with the Zanu-PF government, where the repression of President Robert Mugabe and his regime were causing all sorts of problems for us, particularly in the MDC as the largest opposition party. But we believe that the international community is watching us closely, at least from the phone calls that I'm getting from all over the world. I'm getting phone calls from the media from all over the world, from Europe, from the United States, from India, from all over the world, Australasia, and everyone obviously is concerned by the events unfolding in Zimbabwe. But at least I'm happy once again to say that the situation is calm. At least there's no violence, and I believe that the international communities will be happy to hear that there's no outbreak of violence. And I hope and pray, like all other my fellow compatriots would do, that there will be no degeneration of the situation into civil war. We don't want war. We don't want bloodshed. We want to live happily. We want to live in happiness, and we don't want to resort to the shedding of blood to solve our political challenges. Look, Zimbabweans, we are a peace-loving people. I think you would realize that when you look at the economy, which is virtually dead. The Zimbabwean economy is dead. Where in the world have you ever seen a country that has got more than 90% unemployment rate? A country which doesn't have its own national currency. But against all those odds, Zimbabweans have been peaceful. We haven't resorted to killing each other on the streets or looting people's houses or people's businesses. We are people that are disciplined generally. So I don't want to believe that Zimbabwe will degenerate into another Somalia or into another Burundi or into another South Sudan. I believe that we will do better than those countries. Because already, if we were maybe those kind of countries that you have mentioned, maybe we'll be hearing gunshots right now as you interview me. But we're not hearing any gunshots. I mean, there's peace and tranquility. Everyone loves peace in Zimbabwe. I mean, across the political divide, of course, we've issues, our own political, contestations, with Zanu-PF and the ruling party. But when we meet, we don't physically fight. We can ferociously debate, passionately disagree. but we have never resorted to the exchange of, blows and fists. We always debate, and at the end of the day, we even joke about our debates. So we would like that level of political maturity to prevail in the country. To say, look, at the end of the day, we are all Zimbabweans, whether you are MDC, whether you are Zanu, whether you are Ndu, whether you are UNC, or whatever party you can think of. At the end of the day, what defines us is being Zimbabweans. We are all Zimbabweans. And I believe that in all these various political parties that are there in the country, we have one rallying call, and that rallying call is the love for our country, the love for Zimbabwe. So I believe this is perhaps why we haven't seen any violent incidents so far. And should peace, we pray that peace is maintained, because at the end of the day, is there any need to shed blood because of political issues? We should be able to, at the end of the day, restore the great Zimbabwe. Make sure that Zimbabwe goes back to where it used to be, the jewel of Africa, to be the breadbasket of Southern Africa. We have the potential here, highly skilled people, highly educated people. We have got all the minerals, maybe known to mankind, are found in Zimbabwe. Gold, platinum, uranium, chrome, name it. We have everything here, fantastic climate, very good soils. So we should not have any problem. We should actually not be having this problem where people have to go to South Africa, to Namibia, Zambia, to the UK, to America, to Australia, New Zealand, looking for jobs. We actually would want to have all those Zimbabweans with their skills coming back to work, to reconstruct our country. And this is really the vision that we have as the MDC going forward. At the end of the day, like I said, we believe in the pursuit of happiness. We want Zimbabweans to be happy, to live happy lives. I would actually want to appeal to my, comrades in Zanu-PF, in fact, to all Zimbabweans, in whatever political party that they might be, to say at the end of the day, the game of politics does not, we don't have to fight, to resort to violence. We don't have to hate each other. It's like we are one family. In a family, you might have different ideas. Mother might have her own ideas, father might have his own ideas, son might have his own ideas, daughter might have his own ideas. But at the end of the day, what unites us is that we are one family of Zimbabwe. So I would like to urge my colleagues and comrades in Zanu-PF they should not take factionalism to the levels that they have. I know from my own personal experience, coming across Zanu-PF colleagues, the level of hate, across the factional divide. They hate each other so much. Sometimes even when they meet, they can't even exchange greetings. That's the level of hate, between the two main factions in ZANU. So I'm saying, do you really have to hate your own brother, your own sister so much, so deeply, simply because he or she belongs to a different faction? I mean, it's like in a family. We are different. Some are tall, some are short, some are medium height. Some are thin, some are fat, some are medium. But at the end of the day, we are one family. So we should really appreciate that at the end of the day, factionalism, it will tear their party apart. And the danger now is if you are that factional and you are the ruling party, just look at the economy. For the past 5 years, from 2013, when Zanu-PF, Robert Mugabe rigged the elections of 2013, they've completely ignored the economy. From 2013 up to now, it has always been one factional fight after another. Joyce Mjuru, now Emerson Mnangagwa, and now we have this situation with the military. So at the end of the day, we are saying the economy is on autopilot. People are suffering. There's no money. People are sleeping at the banks. We have no currency. Right now, this is the rainy season. We thank God for giving us rains. The rainy season has started. We are not even prepared. Where are the preparations for the coming farming season? Mbeu, seed maize, the fertilizers, the machinery, the tractor, we don't have. So all we are saying is we should learn to respect one another. We may disagree politically, but we don't have to hate each other. So the problem that I see in ZANU is that they disagree factionally, and over and above that, they then hate each other so strongly, so passionately, that at the end of the day, they treat each other as enemies, but within the same party. That is the tragedy. So in MDC, at least we've learned to say, we might have misunderstandings, but at the end of the day, we know that at the end of the day, we are all MDC cadres. We believe in empathy, we believe in love, we believe in solidarity. So we might quarrel, exchange harsh words today, But in 4 or 5 hours, we go out together, we have lunch together, we have a drink together. Because at the end of the day, we are brothers and sisters. We are comrades. We are one family. That's what we do in the MDC. Of course, it's something, it's a first. I mean, this is the first time in the history of this country. I'm talking post-independent Zimbabwe. Some of us are old enough to even remember the events during the liberation struggle. I remember that this is the first time that we have had this kind of experience in Zimbabwe. It's obviously a very new experience for everyone. That's why there is so much anxiety out there. But I'm also happy to say that although there is anxiety, there is also peace and tranquility. Because I haven't heard of people beating each other in the streets. I haven't heard of people, dead bodies being strewn all over the streets, people being shot at. I haven't heard about that. And I'm saying, if we could maintain it that way, we don't want anyone to lose their lives because of this. If it is the transition, let's transit. Let's go through the transition in a peaceful way. Because at the end of the day, we are all Zimbabweans. So I would actually call this a transition. This is Zimbabwean transition. It's I would call it the collapse of the Robert Mugabe regime. There's definitely no doubt about that. This is the end game for Robert Mugabe and this regime, and I believe that we are now opening. We are getting into new political waters. We are now navigating new political waters. Of course, there's a lot of anxiety. We don't know what kind of waters we're going into because it's the first in Zimbabwe. But I would believe that even the military, we have people who went to war. These are, veterans of the liberation struggle. These are men and women who are gallant fighters who confronted the colonial racist regime, fought them in Zipra, in Zanla, until we gained independence in April 1980. And I believe that they also love their country. And I believe that they will not be happy with the situation where there is bloodshed. I think everyone wants Zimbabwe to prosper, including even the members of the military. No one would want the country to collapse. So let's maintain peace. Let's just make sure whatever we do, let's just put the interests of Zimbabwe first.
That is good.
No, it's actually very, very bad politics. I'll call it bad politics. Because, generations come and go. I've always, even on a personal level, held the war veterans in the highest of esteem. It was not easy for those people to go into the bush and to put their lives at risk to fight the kind of army that Ian Smith had. When the war was being fought, some of us were little boys, but we still vividly remember. Ian Smith had one of the most sophisticated armies in Africa. They had guns, G3 rifles, FN rifles. His Air Force, I think, was the second best Air Force in Africa. The only country that beat him was South Africa. He had Air Force, more than 60 fighter aeroplanes. This is the kind of enemy that these war veterans were fighting with. This is why you find that all those, the Zimbabweans, the gallant daughters and sons of the soil, who were massacred at Nyadzonya, at Chimoyo, in Mozambique, at Mukushi, in Zambia. They didn't die for nothing. So anyone who wants to show disrespect to the war veterans, I believe, is just being very mischievous. We want to salute the war veterans. We want to salute them for liberating us. And I believe that you would not risk your life if you don't love Zimbabwe. You would not go to Mozambique. You would not go to Zambia. You would not go to Zambia and join Zipra. Go to Mozambique and join Zanla to liberate the country. You are not getting a salary. You are literally sleeping in the bush, walking on foot, whereas the enemy you are fighting has got my Puma, they had my helicopter, they had my fighter jets, and you are confronting that kind of enemy. So for anyone who then looks upon those people, down upon those people, or trashes them, I believe that it's very regrettable. It's very unfortunate indeed. We respect our war veterans. To Mrs. Mugabe, to Mrs. Grace Mugabe, is to say, look, she's my generation. I think we're about the same age. I could be slightly older than her, a few years older than her. We are basically the same generation. Is to say, look, politics, it's a game that is very difficult to play. But it can be played. In politics, you need patience. Politics, you have to listen to those who have been there before you. Learn from them. Just like they say, you need experience for any job. There is this expression that says there is no substitute for experience. If you are going to be a teacher, or if you are going to be a medical doctor, or if you are going to be a dentist, or if you are going to be even a bus driver, a taxi driver, or even a baker no bigger chingwa supermarket. You need experience. There is no substitute for experience. So my advice to Grace Mugabe is to say, there's no need to be excited and to go around shouting at people, even if you don't agree with them. The best way in politics is to say, look, my friend, Shamari, and the best is to do it maybe behind the scenes. You don't have to parade yourself at a public rally and start lambooning other people, dressing them down, shouting at them, sometimes even using obscene language against them. We don't do that. Just like in a family. If you're not happy with what your wife is doing or what your husband is doing, I don't think it would be proper for you to wait for visitors to come into your house. And then you start shouting at your wife, hey, Majiti, hey, Mazodai, hey, Mazodai, hey, what? You'd say, my ningi, but I don't know Farana because of ABC. Maybe in the privacy of your own, bedroom. And then even if you get my exchange of harsh words, at the end of the day, you'll be able to reach an understanding. But if what the First Lady was doing, to go at a public platform, a rally, and start lambooning Maim Juru, start lambooning Emerson Mnangagwa, start lambooning George Charamba. I was looking at that on TV and I was saying, if she was my sister and I had a phone number, I would say, Sisi, Apamarashika Gwara. As Shinzaro, that is not the way you play the game of politics. You have to be mature, you have to be tactful, and more importantly, you have to be patient. She appears like she was in a hurry. I don't know why she was so much in a hurry, or where she was hurrying to. Now see what has happened. That's a very difficult question. Look, the Zimbabwe National Army is obviously a national army that was constituted in terms of the constitution of Zimbabwe. They are there to maintain, of course, the national security in terms of the constitution, section 212 of the supreme law of the land. So at the end of the day, I believe that whatever they are doing, I believe that they obviously, maybe they have their own reasons for doing that. And I don't think that they are doing this because they want to ruin Zimbabwe. I don't think they're doing this because they want to destroy the Zimbabwe. I don't think they're doing this because they want people to live in fear or to live in poverty. I believe that maybe they've been concerned just like us in the opposition in the MDC. The decline in the economy, the living standards of the people, the collapse of the infrastructure, our roads, our railways, everything that can go wrong in Zimbabwe had gone wrong. I believe they were also being affected. They have families. Look, these are men and women who have got families, both nuclear and extended families, and they live in this country, and I'm sure they know firsthand the suffering of the people. So I would like to appeal to them, and some of them I know them because they are my generation, to say, look, and I know they are patriotic people. They are patriotic people who love Zimbabwe, and I don't think that whatever they're doing it to destroy Zimbabwe. I believe they're doing it to rebuild Zimbabwe, as they said in their statement that was televised early this morning.
What's that important?
When I listened and watched that video of Kudzanai Chipanga, I felt very sad. Sad why? Because when I look at him, he could even be my son. I think he's young enough to be my son. I say, look, this young man, I think what he's lacking is, guidance. He's just rushing things. You don't do that to your elders. Even if you are not happy with your elders, even if you are not happy with what your father has done or what your mother has done, you don't go out there on the public platform and start trashing them. You go to them, Daddy, zvamaita zvandizvifariri. Nenyaya yekuti 1, 2, 3. Mama, zvamaita zvandizvifariri. Nenyaya yekuti 1, 2, 3. You show them respect. And you'll be surprised that if you show them respect, they will listen to you, even if they are people who are older than you. They will say, right. And then they might even accept your advice. Maybe take all of it or take parts of it. But at the end of the day, it becomes a fruitful kind of discourse. But what that young man was doing, what Chipanga was doing, he was being a showman. He was playing to the gallery. And I also got the sense that I don't even think that statement, he wrote it himself. I was looking carefully at his body language. He was looking jittery. He was looking nervous. You could almost tell like he was doing somebody's bidding. And whoever had sent him to do that really that person should feel sorry for themselves. Instead of helping those youngsters, grooming them, making them better citizens, we should not use them, abuse them. I believe that Kuzanai Chipanga has been abused and actually, trashed in Zanu. There are actually, I think, shadowy forces that have been operating behind him. And I would say, look, whoever was doing that, they should actually feel sorry for themselves, because we don't want our youth to grow into, grown-up men and women. Vasina hunu, what we call Michibano, we call it hunu, or it's called ubuntu. You want my youth, vane hunu. People who would respect their elders. By respect, it doesn't mean that you are going to be docile. Even my elders akakanganisa. Pane nzira dzo unotaura nazo kuti vakuru apa makanganisa. You don't go there on the public platform. Woda kuvanyadzisa, to dress them down, so to speak. So that's what I think was the main problem with that young man. You could tell that somebody is manipulating him, that he was actually, singing for his supper. And now look, that's the problem. We want our youth to be groomed as citizens who have got ubuntu, not to be other people's, puppets who are going to be controlled by their puppeteers. No. One could almost tell that Kuzanai Chipanga is a puppet, and that the puppeteer or the puppeteers are somewhere behind the scenes. You could almost tell that Mr. Mugabe was very keen on creating a Mugabe dynasty. I think he's a great admirer of the Kim family of North Korea. The Kim family, now we've got Kim Jong-un. Before that, there was his father who is late, and before his father, there was the grandfather who is also late. Already there is the Kim dynasty in North Korea. You could almost tell that Mr. Mugabe was creating a Mugabe dynasty. Imagine with Robert Mugabe as the president, Grace Mugabe as the deputy president. Who knows? The next thing is the next youth leader of ZANU was going to be one of their sons. Robert Mugabe Jr. is the youth leader of the Zanu-PF Youth League. And already a family dynasty was being prepared. We are not a dynasty. Zimbabwe is not a monarchy. Zimbabwe does not belong to any single family. It belongs to all of us, to all its citizens. We are a republic, for God's sake, and not a monarchy or a fiefdom. So, I mean, this is why even within ZANU, I know personal friends and relatives who are Zanu-PF supporters who were so deeply disappointed by that attempt to create the Mugabe dynasty. Because, look, we are not, this is not like chieftainship. Ausu usabugu oguruzeva oguzigara ndiri sabugu kama karipe kana ndafa mwana wangu ndio utora usabugu pakandira ayo. This is a republic and not a fiefdom or a chieftainship. Kuti chief kuti wafa mwana wabo ndiye achatora uchief ayo. This is the republic. Ausu ushewo. That's why I'm laughing, because if they say we've been quiet, but you know how active we have been. The problem we have with some of our people is they want us to sometimes to just be heard talking, about useless things. As the MDC, we are strategic. Everything we do right now, we are busy with the BVR, biometric voter registration exercise. We have the Chakachaya program, where we are out there in the villages, out there here in the cities, on a door-to-door campaign, mobilizing people to go out to vote. We call it Chakachaya because it's an exciting brand of retail politics, where we are not there, we're having those huge rallies, but we are going to people's houses. We are going to people's churches. Turikusangana na vanhu kuminda yavo, kumachechi avo, kurufu, kumichato yavo, kumapati avo, explain to them what the MDC is all about. And more importantly for now, explaining to them the need yokuti varegister, importance yokuti varegister, kunyanya vana vadiki vatinoti virgin voters, those voters who have not voted before, the young people who in 2013 were not yet 18 years, who are going to be able to vote for the first time in their lives in 2018, going forward. Those are the people we're targeting. We've got what we call the Mone Muriayo program for women. Kuti mai nevana venyu kana vana vakura va 18 years and above, Mone Muriayo and them no register. We have the Bereka Mwana program my youth. My youth and I no register. We are doing that. We are all over. We are at the colleges. We are at the polytechnics. We are at the high schools. I don't know what people want us to do, really. Maybe they want us to hold these huge rallies. But Kumusha, if we do that, people have been targeted for coming to MDC rallies. Targeted. Inputs, food relief, Korea, drought. So we are saying, no, we don't want you to be victimized. So we'll talk to you, where you feel safe. We'll talk to you, where you feel safe. Because tikakunganidzai mune makatarisa ningi vanga vari parally MDC rally yapera, they will come for you. So we are trying to avoid that kind of situation where our people are victimized. You know what happened in June 2008? The violence that happened in the presidential election run. People were killed. My short sleeve, my long sleeve, machetes. You know, people, more than 400 people died in less than 2 months. During that period of June 2008, prior to the holding of the one-man race of June 27, 2008. We want to avoid that. So we are saying people still have that fear. And the Zanu-PF regime has been harvesting from that fear. 2013, they were not beating up people physically, but they were just reminding them. June 2008. Mukasati votera this time tinodzoka. Totoita zviri worse. So, because they still remember the violence of 2008, of June 2008, they'll end up just voting against their will. So we want to demystify that, to take out the fear from the people. Hence, the retail politics, the Chakachaya program, the Maune Muriayo program, the Berikamana program. So all those are issues that we are doing. So for people to say we've been quiet, I believe that these are people perhaps who are not following the events on the ground. Maybe these are. The Twitter generation, people who are out there, they spend their time behind the computer or on their smartphones. But out there, they'll see our people, top leadership of the party, from the very top, the national level, the provincial level, the district level, the ward level, the branch level, out there with the people right now as I speak. So we are everywhere. I don't know what we have always said as the MDC, President Chaurura has got this very exciting, approach to politics. He calls it the big tent approach. To say, where is Zimbabwe, Manawa is Zimbabwe, Manawevu. If somebody is going to come from Zanu-PF or from any other party for that matter, this is why we have this slogan here, change your ways, become a democrat, repent. If someone has repented, really and says, MDC. Let me go biblical here. Let me go biblical. Even in the Bible, we know what happened to Saul. Saul, he was a murderer. He would kill people, beat up people, beat the lives out of people, kill people. But he was then converted. And he became Paul. He became a brand new person. So as really good kind of better zakashata. Haukwanisi kutendeuka. Munhu anotendeuka. In other words, even biblically, it doesn't mean that if you're a sinner, you cannot repent from being a sinner to a believer. You can repent. So if somebody is going to repent and they genuinely repent and they say, we want to be part of the democratic train, we are sorry for what we did, atingavarambidze kuti vatijoina ayo hatidaro. Toda kuti tikure, toda kuti Zimbabwe ive ine mufaro, anditi ndamboti we believe in happiness, the pursuit of happiness. So if you're going to say, you are then how are we going to grow the party? We can only grow the party by having more people joining us to make the party bigger and bigger. And you cannot maintain the same size and say you are growing. You are growing by having your membership expanding. And you can only expand by attracting new people. Most of those, social media, speculations, like a few days ago when there was that very morbid, very, sick kind of, story circulating on social media to the fact that President Chaurura had passed on in South Africa. Sometimes you wonder to say, what has gotten into us as Zimbabweans to think so evil and behave so evil? Because that's the problem we end up with. Once we don't have this spirit of Ubuntu, we end up doing things that are very reprehensible. Like spreading a false rumor. President Chaurura is doing very well. We want to thank God for his mercies, for making sure our president recovers as well, his health. And you know, as the people, as it is said, you know, doctors treat people, but it is God who heals. And I'm happy that God is healing our president, and that he's back in the mix, and he's on the rebound, and it is just a matter of days before he gets onto the campaign trail. Because you know, God's hand is sometimes we mortals we don't even know how God works. God has His own ways of you know, handling these things. This is why I always want to refer to the God's hand and thank God for what He has done in our president's life. My advice or my rallying call to my fellow cadres in the MDC is to say, look, let us remain peaceful. Let us maintain our vigilance. At the end of the day, you know, we are all Zimbabweans. We should not be excited to the point of then resorting to doing silly things like violence or, you know, breaking the law, etc., etc. We should just maintain the course that we have. We agreed from day one when the party was formed that we're going to be a party that believes in peaceful political activism. So we should always, at all times, always practice a peaceful brand of politics. We say no to violence, any form of violence, be it physical violence, be it psychological violence, be it emotional violence. We say a big resounding no to all forms of violence. We should learn to be tolerant. My message, my running call to my fellow cadres is, let's remain vigilant, let's remain peaceful, and let's always remember the values of the MDC, the values of love, the values of solidarity, the values of empathy. Those should be our guiding values all the time. Because MDC ina values erudo, MDC ina values ekunzirana tsitsi empathy. MDC ina values e solidarity. Mumu wako akapinda munjodzi akafirwa chema naye arwara enda unomuona kuchipatara. Kana pane zvinokwanisa kumubatsira nazvo apinda mudambidziko ashaya mari zvishoma zvoonazvo izvozvo mubatsire, ndo solidarity yacho. So ngatirambei takadaro sevana veMDC.
For these and other stories, visit our website www.263chat.com. Follow us on Twitter @263chat and like our Facebook page 263chat.